Good evening, everyone. I welcome you all on behalf of the Technical Council to an interactive speaker session on Introduction to Open Source. Before we start, I would like to tell you what open source is. Open source is anything that people can collectively contribute to its development, be it a development idea, software, hardware, or documentation. Open source contribution refers to anything that people can collectively contribute. Tonight, our speaker will be talking more about what open source is and how we can contribute to it. Our speaker, an alumna of NIT-Trichy, has been a part of GSOC in 2019 and 2020 as a mentee and a mentor, respectively. She has experience as a technology associate at Morgan Stanley and is currently doing her master's in computer science at New York University. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming home Miss Sudharsana.
Hi everyone, good evening. I'm Sudharsana and I passed out of NIT-Trichy in 2019. I did my BTech in computer science and engineering there. And Jairam already gave a very nice intro. In college, it's great to connect with people from college after a long time. And in college, I was a part of all these clubs. It feels good to meet people from there. And yeah. Uh,
Good evening,
so
ma'am. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine.
So let's begin, I guess. I'm sure you all have so many questions about open source and what is it? How do I go about it? So let's just start off with the session. All good, Jaira?
Yeah, you can carry on in the session.
Okay, yeah. All of you have this a question in mind, right? What is open source? Well, the same. When I started off, even I had no clue. Everyone was talking about open source contributions, and I'm like, what is it about? It's to put it in a simple line. It's something building something with the community for the community. Open source could be about anything, not just restricted to software or hardware. It could be any idea. It's all about coming together and taking a problem and how you approach it and how you solve together for the betterment of the community. So, open source culture embraces the strong values of collaboration, community, and transparency, and how you bring it all together for the mutual benefit of the community and the platform and its users. The people and the developers or the program managers or all the people in the community, they all come together to find out like new things that you could add to the community as well as take an existing thing and how you could make it better. In a sense, it's all the sense of community that open source is about. And I'm sure you're all like, how do I start? Like, what are the prerequisites? Honestly, there are no prerequisites as such. All you need to have is the thought, the spark to start contributing to open source. You should just identify your area, what you would want to do for the community, and there are always open source groups that try to solve the same problem. And you should identify the right community for you and actively participate in that, interact with people, and dive right in. That's all the prerequisites. There's nothing else, honestly. So let's start about why open source. Like, now you know what it is, but why would you want to do it? Firstly, it's fun. Like, you get to interact with a lot of people and you have a sense of belonging in the community, and this discussions that you have with the people from different backgrounds. And honestly, the way that I was brought up with it was, I had like uh, biased thinking towards certain things, but when I interact with, let's say, people from like United States or China, and how they approach a problem, and sometimes they're like, okay, so this is a good idea. So like, it's all the, not just the geographical diversity, but also the cultural diversity and the different perspectives people bring to the table to solve the same problem is something that's very fascinating. And it's a lot of fun to have such fruitful discussions. And you also get a real world experience in your domain. So let's say you're in software, and like the way you code, your coding style, and like the way you think about like breaking down the problem into different small basis and how you bring them all together. And not just that, it's about like maintaining an open source project. That's something not easy either. And how like all you come together and you do something for the community. That's a kind of real world experience that would definitely help in the long way, and it would change your perspective towards a lot of things as well. So like it's also about, let's say you want to do something, like how would you do it? If you do it for yourself, how would you approach it? But when you do it for the community with all these different people aboard, and how you approach it is something that's very different. And you need to put in a lot of effort and identify a lot of things when it comes to the community. So that kind of experience is something that I really enjoyed. And one more thing is about how you like approach the problem in hand, like better planning, and how you break it down, and how you schedule them, so that you do something, you have like a timeline in mind. So this is what I want to do, and this is when I want to do, and this is what I would like to see, and this is what I want the community to use, and get their feedback. And if the community doesn't like it, then you do it. Like, so it's all like you're doing it something for the community by being a part of the community. So that is something that's really got me into open source. And most importantly, like I'm sure all you undergrads must be thinking about your career plans, like be it higher studies or work, and how will doing all this for the community, it does give you a satisfaction, but how does it help you in your career? Well, open source contributions are something that are more valued in the community. For example, like all these being a part of programs such as GSOC is something that's very well respected, and it does add weight to your resume, and it is easier for your employers and your college admission committee to put you in the talent pool, to place you right there. And also in like referrals and job offers, like all those things are easily like gotten for people in this community, because the network that you build in this is something that's way more valuable even in the long run. So this is why like you should do open source. um, and let me talk about how you want to crack these open source programs. Let's say you have a community in mind, and let's say they offer a program and you would want to crack them, right? So how would you do it? So let's say first, like first part is about identifying the community, and then like you should plan early, I would say. So you should just get a hold of the community and what the community expects from the developers, or from the people who are part of, who play different roles, and utilize the tools. Like for example, in coding, we have GitHub and Gitter, and those are like really good tools to identify these communities and interact with them. So utilize these tools and try to understand the problem that they are trying to solve, and what is the knowledge that is required. So let's say you're a tech person and you mainly code in Python, and you identify a Python project, and you would want to crack them, right? So how do you approach them? So first you understand what they're trying to solve, and you understand their project. That let's say some people would have already had a project in hand, so you understand what they have built so far, and how you could develop that, like how you could contribute that, what role would you play in that project, how you could take it to the next level. So these are the things that you need to think about. And once you have an idea, now what you need to do is to crack the program. Like what does the program expect from you? Let's say they're asking you to write a proposal on how you would like crack them, how you would like contribute to them, how you be valuable to them. So you should identify the problem and break it into timeline and like small parts, and identify the timeline, and give out detailed steps as to like this is the way, this is the plan A, and if it doesn't work out, it's plan B. But to come up to this area, right, like coming up with the plan A and plan B, that involves a lot of interaction. So you need to like interact with the community, with the different people around the world, and then you need to take it further. Also, I do see some questions, I guess. Are there any questions from the audience end? How to get selected in GSOC as a beginner, how to garner the attention of the organization as a beginner. Okay. Okay, so with respect to GSOC, so you need to start early and you need to actively participate in the community. So I said GitHub and Gitter are like really good tools to start. Right. So in GitHub, you have something called labels, if you know what I'm talking about. So you could filter the issues based on labels. So just go for good first issue. Since you're a beginner, all these issues are something that are very easy to solve. So you could just identify these good first issues, and all the GSOC projects kind of have GSOC tags also added at times. So you could like identify those issues, and first you need to tell them that you are trying to solve this issue, and you get the help of the community. All these communities have like Gitter channels and discussion forums. So you join the forums and you tell them, hey, I'm so and so, and I'm going to work on this issue, and this is what I've understood so far, and but I would like to get your opinion on this and how to take it further. Or you could also tell that I would like to solve it, but like could you guide me on how to go about it? So so one thing about all this community is people are very friendly and they are very polite as well. So you could, all you need to do is ask the right questions, and definitely you will get help from them. So once you interact with them earlier itself, and once they know that okay, you're a person who has been trying to solve issues for a while, and you apply for the same organization when it comes to GSOC, so they would definitely like you have better chances of getting shortlisted since you've been in the community for so far and you've already tried contributing in some way or the other. So, and one more question is, if I want to learn a new skill, should open source be the correct option? Well, definitely. I don't see why it's not a correct option. I mean, it's not like you become an expert and then you do open source, right? I mean, it's like you have a good understanding, you have a basic understanding. You also expand your knowledge through open source contributions. So honestly, for me, personally speaking, Python was something that I had like a just a basic understanding, basic to intermediate understanding. But when I started off with my project, I learned a lot more, and the community, the people were very helpful, and they really do help you to learn a new skill as well. So it's like you just have a basic understanding and you start take it from there. So I don't see why it shouldn't be an issue. Uh, Code contribution seems a bit difficult right now. So start with non-code is a good strategy. Will it help in GSOC and other fellowship programs? I mean, like it's fine, I guess. Like so, it's not like all the things are like they're only like coding GSOC programs, right? So you also have Google Season of Docs, if I'm not wrong. So you have like different programs that suit your needs. So all you need to do is identify the right program. But if you want to look for GSOC specifically, then you should start code contributions at some level. So you should be starting off with like small questions, and then small PRs like the good first issues that require minor changes, and then once you get a hang of it, you expand it further. I think Jairam has joined, so would you like to
Yeah.
ask questions?
So there is one more question from the audience. What are some of the tech stacks that only a few people know, and by learning that, it can increase my selection in GSOC?
Okay, so that is something that's a very different question. So, like, I mean, you don't just go by that approach, I would say. So, getting selected in GSOC is not about choosing something that very less people choose and then you get in. So, it's like you look at the projects, and if you see like the project is something that would fit your knowledge and you would want to learn more about it, then you go for it. So yeah, that's the right way to approach it. Yeah.
Yeah, so there is one more question from Ayush. For beginners, tips on how to find projects, organization, and getting the project ready, non-coding contributions. So about these, can you just give an insight?
Okay, so finding the right project for you. Okay, that's something that I would definitely want to talk about. Like you first know what you want to do. Like let's say I want to solve like a software perspective. I know C++ and I want to like build my knowledge on C++ and contribute to C++ project. So you first go through the list of organizations in the program that you're trying to participate, and like identify the community where the discussions and the chat forums happen. And then you see like go through the be a part of the community for a while, and once you know that okay, this community is being like polite and like they do discuss a lot of things that I would want to contribute to, then that is the organization that's right for you with the skills you have, and how this community could take you also to the next step, and not just you contributing to the community. It works both ways, right? And like with respect to non-coding contributions, I'm not really that much aware of the non-coding side, but then from what I've heard, is it's all about the underlying principles are the same. So you participate, and then you tell them what you know, and then what you understand what they want from you, and then you work on it. So yeah, that is something that you should work on. Yeah. And
Yeah.
choose the organization based on the skills, mainly the skills and the community. So there are like very big organizations that don't really are that beginner friendly, because they already expect the students to be like pros, and like for example, I think Mozilla and like all these people like big organizations already expect the students to know like some security concepts, some high level security concepts, and you may not really be knowing that. So you should like see get a hang of the community, what fields do they give, and then you see whether like they're okay for a beginner like you to participate or not, and then you go for it. So it needs some work from you as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so Shubh Sharma has this doubt. What exactly do you mean by being a part of a community?
Okay, so you first need to let's say you find an organization. Now you want to be a part of that organization, that community, right? So what you need to do first, you need to join the discussion forums. That's the first place to start off, and then you first monitor, okay, what's happening in the discussion forum, like who is who, and then you introduce yourself. You're like, okay, say I'm so and so, and I would like to be contribute to the problem and participate in the discussions, and put yourself out there. So that is like being a part of the community. You give in you bring in your perspectives to the table, right? So you don't just be a silent member. So you participate and you put your ideas forth and try to solve the problem that they are trying to solve. So yeah, that is about being a part of the community.
Yeah, so there's another question. What are your views on competitive programming versus open source? Which among these two adds more value?
Okay, so there are two different things. So competitive programming is something very different from open source, and you can't just say like which adds more value, right? It's about what you want to do. Now, let's say I want to like crack the ACM, ICPC, and all those competitive coding competitions. So I go in that way, but I'm more interested in development and solving something for the community, like building something. Then I would go for open source. So I think it depends on the individual. Both are very, very highly valued in the software community. So it's all about what you would want to do. Yeah.
Yeah, so the next question is also by Prasanna. What are some of the beginner friendly organization in both GSOC and outside it as well?
Okay, so so organizations are something that don't stay on, right? Like so, organizations that were part of GSOC last year, let's say, they may not be part of GSOC this year also. So each year the organization list kind of varies. But beginner friendly is something that I've already spoken about. Like, so you need to join the discussion forums and see what are the kind of expectations that they have for you, and if they're okay with accepting, beginners, which most of the organizations are, then that's the organization that's right for you. So yeah, you need to join the discussion forums.
Yeah. So there's one more question. Can you put forward a dummy example of how one should start open source contribution?
Okay, so let's say as I talked earlier about, like, let's say I want to learn C++ and I want to contribute to it. How do I go about it? So the first thing I would do is finding the right projects. Now I'm aiming for GSOC 2022. Then I would once the organization list is out, then I would go through the organization list and join the projects, whichever projects that attracts me. I would go join their discussion forums, and then I would see what are the kind of expectations that they have for the students. But let's say 2020 organization is not out yet, then what do I do? So you just like find the right community. Like there are a lot of places like GitHub, how we have for coding. You have a lot of such places where you could find the right community for you, and you join them, and then they will in GitHub you have something called issues, right? So I take a small issue and I try to solve it, and that's how you start about it. I may not succeed. Like honestly speaking, the first time when I tried open source, I didn't succeed. I was like, what is this PR? What do they expect from me? How do I solve it? And it was tagged as good first issue, so I was like, it's a beginner thing, but I'm not that smart or what? Like I don't know that much thing. So it's all about you putting effort. Then I went and I understood further. I spoke to people and I understood what they expected of me, and I broke it down to smaller chunks, like simpler chunks that could be easily achievable, and I took it step by step. So you can't like expect you to become, like from zero to pro in one night. That happens only in Iron Man movie where he becomes like, a pro in astrophysics. But in real life, you have to break it down into different small steps, and you need to take it from there. Yeah.
So there's a question from Shreyas. Why do companies value open source contribution?
That's because you're doing it out of your will for the community, and it's easier, and also it's easier for them to put you in place. For example, let's say you've contributed to organizations such as Mozilla, then you know that like what are the things that they expect. That's like some high level security stuff, and they could also go see your contributions. Right? It's public. It's all about the community, so they could go and assess your contributions, and you're doing this something like out of your love for the community, and that's a value that all the companies respect a lot. Yeah. It's not like monetary oriented. Yeah.
Yeah, so Shivam Gupta has this doubt. What are your views on freelancing?
Well, freelancing is something that anyone could try. I mean, if you're like as a student, I think it's great once you have a good hold, a basic understanding of, let's say, web development, and once you're comfortable, you've built some projects for yourself, and now you could definitely monetize it. I don't see why not. Like you could try out freelancing as well, but freelancing and open source. I don't know. They're kind of same, but not the same kind of like. I mean, in freelancing also you do talk to different people, and yeah, like that also brings in all the benefits of open source plus money as well. But being a part of organizations and like competitions such as Google Summer of Code is something an entirely different experience. So yeah, so whichever suits you. Yeah, I would prefer more to like going for something like G software. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's one more question from Vishal Balaji. Can you explain a bit on the open source project you did, like the entry story of it? I mean, it could give a better idea to all the viewers here.
Okay, so I worked for the organization Python Software Foundation in Google Summer of Code. But Python Software Foundation is like an umbrella organization, so we had a lot of like projects within that. So I worked on the project by Intel Corporation. It's by the Intel security team on data flow facilitator for machine learning. So I started off very late. Like I said, I never had the confidence that I could do open source. Like I was struggling with even the simplest of things, right? So I started off only in like Jan, I guess, yeah. And I went through like some few like good first issues that I found on GitHub, and I tried solving them, and I found this organization. They were a very small project. Like they had only like 51 commits when I had joined, and I was the first contributor. There was no community over there. Like I know all this while I've been talking about community, but here there's one that was yet to be formed. But the mentor was a very nice person, and he and like two more people, they put this small thing together, and I liked the idea of what they were trying to do. So I told, like, I started off with the smaller commits, and since he knew I was a beginner, and he also broke it down into smaller chunks for me, and that's how I started. In like, I think I had like very few contributions before GSOC. Before GSOC, the process actually had begun. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're audible.
Okay, yeah, sorry, there was some lag. Yeah, so I started off with that organization and I applied, and yeah, I had only applied to that organization. They had like three projects, so I applied to all three of them, and I had multiple approaches in mind. So I wrote down a proposal and then I got it. Yeah.
So there's another question. For GSOC, what does a good student proposal look like?
Okay, so this I could actually talk it from my experience as a mentor for the same project. When I was a student, I had an idea of like these are the things that a mentor would expect. But when I became a mentor, it became clear to me like what are the mistakes that I had done in the past, and what are the actual things that clear to me like what are the mistakes that I had done in the past, and what are the actual things that or if it is an issue. Was it lagging for you
Uh,
all?
yeah, there was a small internet issue from your side, I
Yeah,
guess.
just give me 1 minute. I'm sorry. Let me just.
So, guys, we'll be right back. There's a small internet issue. We'll be right back. So I hope you got a lot of information about open source. It's a new thing for all of us. So ask your doubts. It's a good chance to learn a lot of things. So TeCOS is an initiative of Technical Council which aims at spreading the open source community in our college. So it's basically like you can contribute. There are a lot of softwares which we use and we want improvements in it. We think of changes that can be made into that software. Open source allows you to do that. So that is what TeCOS is doing, and we'll be right back after the network issues. And guys, if you have really enjoyed it, please do like, share, and subscribe to the Technical Council channel. Share to all your friends. This is a very informative session.
Yeah, hi. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I guess now we are back. Yeah, and you can continue, man.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was answering a question. Could you please repeat it? Yeah, what does a good student proposal look like? Yes. So we want clear goals in proposal, and we want the completeness, like how much could you do, and we want the time commitment as well. So like in GSOC we have like weekly evaluations as well as like three phases of evaluations. So we want to know in week one what would you do, week two what would you do, like that, and break it down into smaller chunks. And we also like see the like approaches, different approaches, not just one approach. Like it would be nice if you discuss multiple approaches and weigh them and then say that I would like to go with this, and also have backup plans. Like if this doesn't work out, then this could also be a good idea. So it's always nice to have multiple solutions to the same problem. And testing is something like that you need to like for like GSOC especially, you need to always think about the how you would test a feature that you built right from the beginning itself. Yeah. So yeah, these are the things that it would be nice to have in your proposal.
Yeah, so there's one more question from Shivam Gupta. How did you start preparing for GSOC, and how did your open source journey start? Yeah, and
Okay,
also the
so
skills. How did you prepare them?
yeah, like all the like it was a lot of like learning from the docs, like learning from the docs and watching tutorials, because initially I only had a basic knowledge of Python, but what the project required at different times was something that was advanced, and I wasn't really sure if I could do it. So I had to do go through a lot of tutorials. Like Hadoop was something that for my project, let's say, I had to work with advanced Python and Hadoop, and there were some couple of APIs that I hadn't really used. So to learn all this, I had to first understand the docs. I mean, docs are overwhelming, as you all know. Like it's very hard to read the documentation of a particular language or an API. So you first identify the blog post and the tutorials. There are some small baby steps to get a hold of it, but this may not be enough for the problem that you're trying to solve. So you go through docs and you interact with the people in the community. This is where the community plays a major role in helping you learn as well. Let's say I try to learn something about an argument parser in Python, and I have no idea what it is and I don't know where to start. I ask in the community and they do help me. They tell me in basic terms, like an introduction to it, and I can pick it up from there, and they'll also suggest resources like sometimes. So that's how you start, and for me that's how I started. Yeah.
So yeah, what are this is again the same question. Like
Yeah.
somebody has the same doubt, because this is one common doubt that as a beginner we all have. Should I go into competitive programming, or should I start it with open source? Yeah.
I
So
think
one
everyone should try both, honestly. For me, my first 2 years were into competitive coding, and I was like, okay, but I like development more, so I want to do more open source. So yeah.
Yeah. So there's one more question by Bharat. Do you still contribute to open source in your free time?
Currently, no, which is something I really regret. I don't, because grad school is very overwhelming, like so many assignments and deadlines and sleepless nights, so hard to balance it. But I would start off, like, once my semester workload becomes balanced, I would like to start again. Yeah.
Uh, so I guess if there's no question from the viewers, yes, ma'am, you can go on with the session.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Like I had a flow in mind, and then I saw a lot of questions. I was like, okay, so I should start answering them as well. So yeah, so I think I have covered most of it. But then one thing that I always want to stress on again and again is about how you put yourself in the community, right? See, it's like it's two way. It's never like the community would help you. It's also about how you bring it in. So you should ask the right questions and find the right people, find the right community for you, and understand the community guidelines. And always, like, don't go blindly and just say that this is what I want. Like, understand what they offer first, and then read the community guidelines, the contributing guidelines, and then you go and you approach them. Well, and also, I would encourage you all to start now, being a student, and especially if you're in your earlier years of undergrad, that's when you have the time and flexibility to start trying out new things. So that's when you should start. Yeah. I think that's it. I've covered most of what I had in mind in the Q&A session. You guys asked really good questions. So yeah. You've been a mentor, so there's another question from Shivam. You've been a mentor, so what kind of project did you put up? When I was a mentor, the projects that I had already worked on for the organization, it was a tool that we were trying to build. So the it was an extension of what I had already worked on. So yeah, I was helping them out with that. Yeah. Like DFML is like a machine learning plugin to put it in simple way, to talk about the project. So that had like the data part, which sourcing the data and storing them. That's what I worked on, and the ML part. And I was a mentor for the data part, like how to take it, scale it up higher, and how to take it further. So I was working on that in my second year of GSOC. Yeah.
Yeah, so Devi Priya has a question. Has contributing to open source helped in any way while applying for your masters?
Yes, definitely. Like when I write my SOP and when I tell them that I have built so and so for the community, and I've been a part of like prestigious programs, open source programs, so that definitely adds weight to your SOPs. Yeah.
So yeah, I just had this doubt. So is it too late to start with anything? Like as a beginner, is it too late? We are in our second years currently. So is it too late to start with open source?
It's definitely not too late. Like I started off in my final year, in my final semester in January. I was like, huh, maybe GSOC is like something that I could do, because earlier I didn't have the confidence, honestly. So I just wanted to try because I thought that was my last chance as a student. So I started off. It's never too late to start off, and I did GSOC after I finished my like BTech, like the summer following course completion. That's when I did. So it's never too late to start anything.
Yeah, that was really encouraging. And can you just recap and lay a path as a beginner? What should my steps be?
Okay, so put it in simple words. Find out the skill level that you have, and find out the skills that you would want to improve on, and find the right community and the right platform for it, and see what the community does, and understand what they offer to you, and then see how you could like help the community and what you could get out of the community. So once you're clear on this basics, then you start like interacting with the people and understanding more of what they do, and like tell them more of what you do, and like you take it from there. So it's all about how you put yourself out there and finding the right community for you. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's one more question from Prasanna. As a mentor, what were your expectations from your mentee?
So I wanted them to be clear on what they want from me and what they were going to bring it in, like their goals. That's something that I wanted them to have a good clarity on. And honestly, I didn't expect them to have like good skills, because skills are something that you always develop. But what matters is the determination and the perseverance. So as long as a person shows those qualities and is interested in it, so that's all I expect from anyone. Yeah.
So I guess that's all the questions from the audience. Thank you, ma'am. It was really informative and really useful to one and all over here. I thank you from the bottom of my heart and on behalf of the Technical Council for taking time from your busy schedule to be the guest lecturer at our speaker session. Your presence and wise words helped us in the best possible way. Our speaker session was a huge success. All thanks to you, your enlightening words that inspired us and gave us so many people insights about open source. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, sure. Thank you so much, Jairam. And for students, I would definitely like to ask you all to start off with some open source programs. And like since I'm from software background, I already have some list of open source programs in mind, like Hacktoberfest, MLH Fellowship, Google Season of Dogs, and FOSS Asia. There are some like really good communities out there. All you need to do is find the right community for you and start off from there. Yeah. And do let me know, connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'm always there to help you guys. Yeah.
Sure, ma'am. And thank you guys for staying with us and hearing to this wonderful session. If you really like the video, like, share, and subscribe to the Technical Council channel. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you all. Yeah.